Hark! My Anthonix sense is tingling. I guess that means there's a new Spider-Man movie coming out soon.
You're running out of fluid!
Is this more action than even Spider-Man can handle?
Hi, I'm Anthonix Maximus, bitching to you about movies because Hollywood would not cast me as Spider-Man because I'm not the right age, or I'm not the right size, or I'm not a good actor. So I'm gonna do the next best thing and review Spider-Man 2. And of course I'm ready to review Spider-Man 2 because I got the right shirt on. I can't lift any higher, so enjoy some of that spider butt. And the beautiful thing about this review, I don't need to go over the history of Spider-Man because I already did that last time I reviewed Spider-Man. So if you're a good Anthonix Maxiteer, chances are you've already seen that review. But if you need a refresher, I left a link down below. Needless to say, the first Spider-Man movie was a huge success, so it didn't take long for Columbia and Sony to release Spider-Man 2 in 2004, just 2 years after the first one. And once again, it was directed by Sam Raimi. Yeah, everyone from the first movie came back to reprise their roles in this movie, although it was a close call with Tobey Maguire. He had gotten himself injured on the set of Seabiscuit. We almost would have had Jake Gyllenhaal take over as Spider-Man. They actually do kind of look alike, so I can see that. And it was really a good coincidence if that had happened because Jake Gyllenhaal was dating Kirsten Dunst at the time. But don't worry, Tobey got better, and Jake Gyllenhaal did get to be in a Spider-Man movie a few years back in Spider-Man No Way Home. Hey, so upon editing this, I actually discovered something. Tobey Maguire allegedly faked his injury on the set of Seabiscuit so he can get out of Spider-Man, basically try to get more money for it. But when they fired him, he pretty much asked for the job back. And they gave it to him, and Jake Gyllenhaal was back out of the film. So that's something I just learned. So yeah, all the key players came back for this film. Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, J.K. Simmons, Rosemary Harris, including new cast member Alfred Molina as Dr. Otto Octavius, aka Dr. Octopus, aka most commonly known as Doc Ock, because Dr. Octopus has too many syllables, you see. But what made the reason why Raimi decided to cast Molina was because, well, Molina actually was a fan of the comic books, in particular, Dr. Octopus. It was Molina that made the scriptwriters put in more sardonic sense of humor lines for the tentacled madman, as he was in the comics. See, there's not really much I have to go into for detail this time. I will say this, Spider-Man 2 is actually heavily influenced by two major comic book events. One being Spider-Man No More, where he gives up being Spider-Man, and also If This Be My Destiny. That one actually introduces Harry Osborn and Gwen Stacy at his first day of college. Let's just hop right in and take a look at Spider-Man 2. Now, this movie does something that I would say is annoying if any other movie was to do it, which is recap what happened in the first movie. I mean, like, come on. Everyone has seen the first Spider-Man movie, unless you're some kind of asshole. But here the pictures are shown through a series of drawings done by the great and masterful Alex Ross, a man who I swear traveled through time from the Renaissance era to our time to show us what real art is. He's drawn one of my favorite comic book stories, Kingdom Come. But that's DC. We don't talk about DC in the world of Marvel.
I made a choice once to live a life of responsibility. A life she can never be a part of.
I'm gonna give you a bit of a heads up. In the first movie, Mary Jane, played by Kirsten Dunst, was just kind of this lost girl that kind of relied on the help of a guy to escape the upbringing that she had. In this film, she's the same, but now she's moodier than ever. Almost, bitchy. She really gives off a bit of a shrew vibe. I'm sorry, it sounds sexist, but you'll see in this movie.
And I'm Peter Parker. And I too have a job.
Parker.
Even as a model on a billboard, she looks pissed off. And look, 2 years later, Peter Parker got himself a part-time job as a pizza delivery guy. Just like Keno! And just like Keno, also riding around in a motor scooter, pissing off all of New York.
Parker, you're late, man. Always late.
And I see he has a problem being a late boy.
Hamilton, Burton, and Smith. 8 extra large deep dish pizzas. In 8 minutes, I am defaulting on Joe's 29-minute guarantee.
You have a 29-minute pizza delivery guarantee, or your pizza is free. Why? Why do you have that? That's the reason why Domino's stopped doing that, because it caused too many car accidents. And a huge stack of pizzas like that, then they really think they're gonna get in 29 minutes? Hell, I live in New York. I can't even get an order of mozzarella sticks in that time. Yes, I know, I'm a lazy bastard. I could get the food myself. But still! Oh, and by the way, fun fact! Joe's Pizza is a real pizza place in New York City. In fact, there's a full chain of them. This particular location is supposed to be on Bleecker. And I'm hesitate to tell you this because I don't want you to be calling this place if you don't live in New York or intend to order pizza, but that's a real functioning phone number. Watch.
Just pizza, hello.
I'm so sorry, I got the wrong number. For the love of God, don't call them like I did. Don't go bothering them, alright? They are a real company, but if you live in New York in that area and you want some pizza, give them a call. This movie is free advertisement for them. Now, this whole scene of Peter Parker racing the clock to get pizzas delivered to a business, it's campy. But I guess we can accept it because Spider-Man is, at heart, campy. Yeah, not every superhero needs to be dark and mysterious like Batman.
He stole that guy's pizza!
Okay, that's not a good look at all for Spider-Man. No wonder why people think he's a menace. And look at him swinging around with the pizzas. He's probably wrecking them right now. He should be fired. And of course, there's kids playing in traffic because parents don't exist in this world. And this guy, he thinks he got some free pizza. Nope, not this time. But whoever does get the pizza, I hope they enjoy the web on it. And no one questioning why he's leaving the supply closet.
Pizza time.
Yes, it's pizza time with all those wrecked pizzas.
You're late. I'm not paying for those.
Wow, imagine being a receptionist that's so terrible, you're not gonna pay for the pizzas, even though it's not like it's her money. And I would be more mad at her, but that's the lady from the TV show Bones. She's actually quite funny on there. But if I was Peter Parker, knowing I was about to get fired for missing the deadline, I would just drop the pizzas right on the floor.
Give me another chance.
Okay, I'm sorry, but the way this manager is acting, I don't see how Joe's Pizza is being represented well.
You're fired.
Why?
Dogs catching frisbees?
Yes! It's J.K. Simmons! What's even better is that he's gonna get more screen time than he did in the last film.
I pay you because for some reason that psycho Spider-Man will pose for you.
Spider-Man won't let me take any more pictures. You've turned the whole city against him.
A fact I'm very proud of.
Okay, MCU, let's get some more J. Jonah Jameson, huh? It doesn't have to be a Spider-Man movie. It could be a Thor movie, which he has no connection to Thor, but just put him in there. Not only that Peter lost his pizza delivery job, but he's not making much money at the Daily Bugle because he keeps needing advances, as told by Betty Brant, who's actually played by Elizabeth Banks. I think I failed to mention that in the last movie. Elizabeth Banks is Rita Repulsa. And yeah, she's done other stuff, but she's Rita Repulsa! And now we get to see Peter at his college. Columbia College, in fact, because, like it was in Ghostbusters, they had to use Columbia College because the name of the studio is Columbia. Even though in a comic, Spider-Man actually attended Empire State University.
My class is over. See me standing here?
Yes, Dr. Connors, you're right there, but not all of you. That was mean. I hope I get punched. And yes, that is Dr. Curtis Connor, played by Dylan Baker. Is he gonna become Lizard? Not in any of these films. Oh, Sam Raimi, you tease. And he is such a kidder, isn't he? Always kidding around, hitting Tobey Maguire in the face with a backpack. He's the Raimiest.
Surprise!
And May threw him a surprise birthday party.
Been kind of busy.
Taking pictures of your friend.
Oh, don't even give him a guilt trip. After your dad died, you moved back into the huge home and you left Peter alone. He needs to make money, dude. Here we go, May is drunk again. Alright, I joke, this is a serious scene because as we can see, Aunt May is behind on her bills. And despite all that, she's still trying to force $20 onto Peter as a birthday gift. And I guess it's a way of keeping some dignity when you can actually give someone a gift because she don't need to be pitied, just take the gift. Although seriousness aside, Aunt May can get a job. Freeloader! Oh, and it's awkward because Peter thinks he's responsible for his uncle's death, and he hasn't told Aunt May yet. Let's see how that's gonna work out.
I'm seeing somebody now.
Wow, alright, so as much as Peter loves MJ, he feels he can't be with her because, as established in the last movie, he's afraid that him being Spider-Man would get her harmed. So let's see what he got for his birthday. Harry being bitter, Aunt May not able to pay her bills, and MJ being unattainable to Spider-Man. Oh, and also the fact that even though she's guilting Peter for not being with her, she throws in the fact that she's with a new guy. So even though she has a new boyfriend, she's still playing that cheating game, and she's dating J. Jonah Jameson's son.
Sorry doesn't pay the rent. And don't try to sneak past me. I have ears like a cat and eyes like a rodent.
And we get a new character who doesn't exist in the comics, Mr. Dickovich, who I also suspect is going to be the 6th member of the Sinister Six in the new Spider-Man movie. And here's our friend Alfred Molina as just Otto Octavius. He hasn't become the bad guy yet. Peter needs to interview him for his research paper.
I finally got lucky in love.
We both did.
The whole wife angle was not introduced in the comics because Dr. Octopus had many arcs. Some random story arcs where he'd be a powerful villain, but he can also be an ally at times as well. But yeah, there were some interesting story arcs. For example, there was one story arc where Doc Ock was living in a bedroom that Aunt May was renting out because he wanted to get close to her and marry her so he can inherit an island that she didn't know she was inheriting. And there were other times where Doc Ock was known as the master planner. He's the one that set up the Sinister Six. A lot of slippery S's there. And they made Doc Ock sort of a mentor, which in many iterations of Spider-Man, that's what he is, a mentor. The idea that they threw in a wife for Dr. Octavius is that it humanizes him even further, and it'll give a motivation for him to become the villain, where not every bad guy just wakes up one day and says, I'm gonna be evil. This actually works to the benefit of the film. Oh, Spider-Man's costume ruined his laundry. Hey, he's not as Ripley as he was in the first movie. Not that I care. You see, in the first movie, Tobey Maguire started off scrawny, but the actor himself actually spent like 6 months gaining a ton of muscle. But then, between films, he got himself casted in the film Seabiscuit, where he played a jockey. So he had to lose all that weight to be a jockey. If I was Tobey Maguire, I'd be pretty pissed about it, but at the same time, it kind of works. By the time the first Spider-Man movie came out, it was normalized in the comics that Peter Parker would get bitten by the spider and suddenly become buff, which, yeah, what Marvel hero hasn't started like that? It's Steve Rogers all over again. But nowadays in the comics, that's not even an issue. In fact, even after being bitten by the spider, current Spider-Man stays pretty scrawny, like a small build, which is more appropriate anyways because he's supposed to be agile and flexible when he's climbing walls and swinging through the city. And now Peter is trying to get ready so he can see MJ in her play. But that's not gonna happen tonight. Some more kids out on a New York street without parents. Seriously, what the hell is wrong with New York parents in this movie? But we get this intense scene.
It's a web.
Yeah, it's a web.
Go, Spidey, go!
Alright, which producer's daughter is this? No offense to her, it's just her line delivery is just a little over the top.
As one with absolute credulity.
He's missing MJ's play, which really looked like it sucked anyways. But at least we get this appearance. It's Sam Raimi's friend, Bruce Campbell. In the first movie, he played a wrestler announcer.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. No one will be seated after the doors are closed.
It helps maintain the illusion.
In this movie, he is the theater usher. Don't look at her with your judgy eyes.
What are you doing here?
MJ's boyfriend, John Jameson, son of J. Jonah Jameson, who actually made an appearance in the first Venom movie. Because in the comics, he was actually the one that encountered the symbiote first. I tell you this as if it's actually gonna play a part in the next film. Spoiler, it does not. Oh no, Spider-Man is losing his powers. Now, I've seen the 1990s Spider-Man cartoon. I learned much of my Spider-Man knowledge from that cartoon before the comics. That could lead to something big, because what happens is Spider-Man begins losing his powers. But that's part of a side effect from the spider bite, because what actually leads to is Spider-Man trying to fix that, but it accelerates his mutation where he starts getting more arms, and eventually it would make him become the man spider. I was wondering if that's where they were going with this in this film, but and here is Hal Sparks having an awkward scene with Spider-Man talking about his crotch.
It rides up in the crotch a little bit too.
Well, I was on my bike.
Looks like Peter is trying to speak to MJ, but she is not having it. Instead of speaking to Peter like an adult, she is just gonna be passive-aggressively staring at the phone.
I know you predicted I'd disappoint you.
Bingo.
Okay, if she's gonna act like this, do you really want to be with her?
Before we start, has anybody lost a large roll of $20 bills in a rubber band? Because we found the rubber band.
It wasn't that funny.
Okay, now we know who writes for James Gordon. And Dr. Octavius shows off his extra limbs.
If the artificial intelligence in the arms is as advanced as you suggest, couldn't that make you vulnerable to them?
Want to answer the last question first?
Shut up.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand. The power of the sun? Does that mean he invented Sunny D? And as predicted by Peter earlier in the film, the power is too much to control and everything starts falling apart. No! Doc Ock's wife is dead because she doesn't know how to duck. And his inhibitor chip has been destroyed. He's a wacky scientist. But don't worry, Spider-Man saves the day because he's very smart. Or at least smart enough to just pull the plug. Why do they cover her up after taking her outside to the public?
We're ready, Doctor.
Anybody here take shop class?
Doctor! His wife just died. So, in the first Spider-Man movie, Sam Raimi didn't really have much of a say in his direction style. I guess he had to kind of impress the studio. But since he made the studio so much money, you're about to see him get away with more Raimi-style directing. Yep, very Evil Dead-like. We all love the no.
Yes!
Yes.
What are we going to call this guy?
Doctor Strange.
That's pretty good. But it's taken.
That is something that just ages well.
Mad scientist goes berserk and we don't have pictures.
I heard Spider-Man was there.
Where were you? Photographing squirrels?
You know he's Spider-Man, don't you? You silly secret keeper, you.
The planetarium tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. There's the door.
That is a weird transition. Don't usually do the wavy lines unless you're about to transition to a flashback or a memory.
The door.
Something in my head.
Oh no, it's like the tentacles are communicating to him through his mind. And according to this film, an octopus's tentacles are made out of snakes.
But the fact is, you do not have the assets to justify this love.
Aw, well that's bad news. Especially when it's coming from Jeff Winger.
I'm giving piano lessons again.
You are?
Ow!
Peter, you dummy, why are you ratting her out like that?
At least we get the toaster.
Actually, that's only with a deposit of 300 or more.
It's a toaster. It's like $20. You could have just given her a toaster. Come on, dude. Some bank loan employee, right? You tell people no and you can just get up and walk away from them. Oh, I always hate this trope where the alter ego looks like he's running away from danger when really he's gonna become the hero. It's done quite a bit. You know, Clark Kent will run away so he can change into Superman, or Prince Adam will run away so he can become He-Man. But in the meantime, everyone thinks that their regular persona is this wuss. It's sad.
Here's your change!
At least this film, Toby is more quippy as Spider-Man. And that's all I really want. I want my Spider-Man to be a smart aleck. But I didn't ask him to cause more damage than the bad guy. Oh no, he has Aunt May! Maybe this is how he's gonna marry her. So remember how I mentioned that it feels like some of these actors were related to the producers or someone on set, because for random characters, the camera just seems to focus on them too long. Like this lady.
Wait a second.
Like, did she win some kind of contest for a walk-on role? But at the same time, it is very Sam Raimi too, so Sam Raimi's direction can often have actors chew the scenery. Ah, Mr. Lee, thank you for your heroics. Don't mind Spider-Man, ladies. He's just gonna use your sweatshop as a slingshot. Okay, that was a badass Aunt May moment. I'm sorry, you're probably gonna hear some rain on the microphone, but the good news is my car is getting washed. You know, officers, you might actually stop him if you actually shot him and not the tentacles. Oh, Peter must be hungry. Get some hors d'oeuvres. Aww.
He's the first man to play football on the moon, John Jameson.
He looks like the type of guy who would relive his high school football years on the moon. Damn, MJ! You're at a gala, people are applauding you, you're next to a nice hunky guy, and you're still gonna take the time to give Peter the evil eye. Oh, here's another chance for him to get himself a snack. Aw, maybe next time.
Can I get you a drink?
I'm with John. He'll get me my drink.
MJ, I can only call you a mean lady so many ways. Oh, Peter, will you ever win?
Pisses me off your loyalty to Spider-Man and not to your best friend.
Beautiful Miss Mary Jane Watson has just agreed to marry me.
And you know, the pathetic thing is, I bet you John made that announcement because he wanted to break the tension in the room from, you know, Peter Parker just being slapped by his friend. And now Peter's powers are acting up again. And now Doc Ock has bought all the machine parts he needs. I feel like he could have skipped robbing the bank and just stole the parts.
In my dream, I'm Spider-Man. But I'm losing my powers. It's not even my dream, it's a friend of mine's dream.
This is me talking to the writers out there. If you have a character saying, I have a friend, before continuing with that sentence, that's not realistic. No one ever believes that. But yet, it's still an ongoing trope. Why? what is the point of this scene? Why is Peter talking to a random doctor? It doesn't have any further effect. The doctor doesn't come back into the film. There's no point for a scene to have him telling a doctor that he's Spider-Man. And don't give me that doctor-patient confidentiality thing. It still makes no sense. And we cut to Peter imagining himself having a conversation with his Uncle Ben, played by Cliff Robertson again. We have to get in that car that's featured in all the Raimi films. And it's sad because this is the last time we actually see Uncle Ben in this film.
No, Uncle Ben. I'm just Peter Parker.
Being disappointed. This kind of follows a trope of a lot of superhero films, and Spider-Man kind of copies Superman 2 in the same sense that Superman is considering no longer being Superman, giving up his powers so he can be with Lois Lane, and he confides in a parent, depending on which version you see, of course. Here, it's Spider-Man making a decision with his uncle. And now we have the infamous scene of Spider-Man walking away from his costume he left in a trash can. Just like the comic book Spider-Man No More. Kind of stupid too. I mean, if cops are really wanting to find Spider-Man, what if they came across the costume? I'm overthinking this, I'm sure, but they can go NCIS on the costume and look for strands of DNA like hair and try to match it and immediately know who it is. I'm putting too much thought into this. I mean, it is a film for everyone. We don't need to have a whole process of it. It's not a Zack Snyder film. And by the way, that joke hurt me because I actually do like Zack Snyder movies. That'll give me some thumbs down. And he's being attentive in school. That's a weird edit, but Sam Raimi does what he wants. What Sammy wants, Sammy gets.
Oh, of course I have been rather reckless.
I gave up Spider-Man for this. And immediately after, Peter chucked a dead battery up on stage.
You once told me you loved me. I let things get in the way before. There was something I thought I had to do. I don't have to.
Now that Petey is no longer Spider-Man, he's going to break up an engagement.
I'm getting married in a church.
You'll get married in hell and like it.
Where the hell did you get that?
In the garbage.
Right, 100. Miss Brandt, give this man his money and throw in a bar of soap.
J. Jonah has no time for you, blue-collared folks.
You wanted to take the subway, and he wanted to drive you.
Oh, this is going to be tough.
Uncle Ben was killed that night for being the only one who did the right thing. I held his hand when he died.
All right, fine. Be mad, Aunt May. What are you going to do? Cut me out of your will? You have nothing. I don't understand this scene. He's about to kill Harry Osborn for the all-important tritium that he uses to finish his machine. Alright, so what makes it really stupid is Harry strikes a deal with him to kill Spider-Man, and in doing so, Harry will give the tritium to Doc Ock. Cut out the middleman. Why do you want to kill Spider-Man? Just threaten Harry. I mean, it's like, okay, I won't kill you. I'll kill Spider-Man in order to make this deal with you, Harry. I just feel like you're adding an extra step that's unnecessary.
Is anybody in that building?
We think there's a kid stuck on the second floor.
Okay, so I need to point this out, which I think is very fascinating. You see this man right here on the street? That's the same man from the first movie on the bridge throwing things at Green Goblin. Now Peter is trying to save people as Peter Parker in the fire. But I will say this scene is adorable as the little girl is trying to help him. You know how to reach my heart.
Oh, they gave me another few weeks, but I decided to hell with it.
You're up there in age. Go ahead and screw over your credit.
But you made a brave move in telling me the truth.
Aw, she forgave Peter because he told the truth. It's one of those things where, yeah, he has some part in his uncle's death, but it's not like entirely his fault. Things just fell in the wrong place, that's all.
Hey, where are all my comic books?
Oh, those dreadful things. I gave those away.
Batch!
Where is he?
Henry and I agree. We don't see his picture in the paper anymore.
Was there ever a debate? Like, did you guys have like a long discussion going back and forth where the kid finally was like, you listen here, you old bat?
Setting examples for all of us. Everybody loves a hero.
But you know, yeah, she gives this whole hero speech, and this is interesting because it implies that, I don't know if the writers meant for this, but in my head, it implies that May Parker actually knows that her nephew is Spider-Man. Now, in the early comics, May had the same idea of Spider-Man as most of New York and J. Jonah, where he's more of a menace than a hero. But later in the comics, Aunt May actually learns that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and suddenly she becomes his #1 supporter. Alright, we all make fun of his face for the train scene. I make fun of his face here. It's like he's doing a Garth from Wayne's World impression. Okay, so all his powers couldn't be fully taken away, otherwise he'd be dead from that.
I've been thinking about it.
Listen, I thought I could be there for you, Mary Jane, but I can't.
Wow, he messes with a girl's mind just like MJ messes with his mind. They're so destructive, they're meant for each other. But she wants that kiss, you know, just to make sure that he isn't Spider-Man. See, there he goes again. He is in need of a tritium, so he strikes a deal with Harry instead of threatening him by saying he'll get Spider-Man. But instead of getting Spider-Man, he goes to Peter Parker because Peter takes the pictures. But in order to get to Peter, he kidnaps Mary Jane. Come on, you're taking all these extra steps when all you had to do was threaten Harry like you went in initially to do. But that's okay because Peter gets his powers back, not through the comic books where it's solved through science, but through the power of love. And here we have an awesome fight between Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus. And here comes this part where we get to understand J. Jonah Jameson much better as a character. Yes, he's Spider-Man's enemy and wants the public to turn against him, but he also needs Spider-Man because not only Spider-Man is what keeps the Daily Bugle alive, J. Jonah also needs Spider-Man in his life. In the extended version, we get to see J. Jonah dress up as Spider-Man for some reason. But Spider-Man got his costume back.
I want Spider-Man!
And they take the fight to the train where it causes a big commotion, and now the train is out of control. Runaway train, never going back. Wrong way on a one-way track. Oh, by the way, recognize the guy on the left-hand side? He also was in a first movie. You might have remembered him as the firefighter, you know, with the soot on his face that looked like he had a Hitler mustache. That's the same guy. Hey, there's also Phil Lamar, voice of Green Lantern and Samurai Jack. They're all here.
Any more bright ideas?
Oh, f*** you. And now we get Peter making that silly squishy face as he saves everyone with the web. Everyone is about to see who he is and carry him like he's Jesus Christ.
He's just a kid.
I mean, I wouldn't call him a kid. I think Tobey Maguire was like 30 in this film. It's Tobey Maguire's little brothers or something.
We won't tell nobody.
Good thing camera phones weren't as prevalent back then, but someone's gonna mention something. Bunch of little lying bastards. And now Doc Ock has delivered Spider-Man and Harry gave him the tritium. Spider-Man is Peter Parker all along.
You killed my father.
There are bigger things happening here.
This could have been solved real quick. In fact, it could have been solved real quick in the first movie. Instead of you just disappearing after leaving his dad's body behind, you could have been like, I didn't kill your dad, he accidentally killed himself. Or if you wanted to stick to Norman's wishes and not tell Harry that he's the Green Goblin, you could have just said, Green Goblin killed him. That simple. A quick explanation. And we wouldn't have to go through all this mess.
Surprise.
It's not a Spider-Man film unless MJ is trapped as a damsel. And once again, Doc Ock's machine is going crazy and pulling all the metal. People are gonna think Magneto's up to something. And MJ was right about Peter. He is Spider-Man. That's, again, something from This Be My Destiny, where he is about to be crushed by the building, but he uses all his will force to get out of it. And also get a serum back to his Aunt May to save her life. So, yeah, it kind of borrows a piece from that for this film. Spider-Man and MJ swing away from the disaster as Doc Ock sacrifices himself.
I will not die a monster.
That's just great cinematography. And look, it's John Jameson going in to save MJ. He's a mere man, and he's jumping around and being physical just to get to her. He deserves someone. Come on.
I'm here.
Oh no, it's an image of Willem Dafoe. Or should I say, the former foe. And Harry learns that his dad was Green Goblin all along. You'd think this is gonna be cool in the next movie, but trust me, in the next movie it's gonna suck. You wanna marry me? MJ is just running away in her dress, ruining lives. And people swear that this is Tom Jane in the background, aka the Punisher. Because sure, the Punisher is just randomly walking around in a park. You know, I bet he could have gotten a better apartment if he actually moved in with Iceman and Firestar. But instead, MJ shows up in a wedding dress like a crazy lady.
Isn't it about time somebody saved your life?
And we pan back to this. MJ with her dead eyes, probably thinking of new ways she can mentally abuse Peter. In my time, when a movie ended, it faded to black, the credits rolled, and the moment Dashboard Confessional played, that's when we knew it was time to leave. And the worldwide gross of Spider-Man 2 came to $788.6 million, which is pretty good considering their budget was $200 million. I feel like I should probably call in my friend Vincent on this. So, buddy, how did you feel about this?
Well, I love this movie. I would have loved it if you would have told me that you were tackling on this one.
Well, you know what? If you actually showed up here at the place, we could have done the review together because I know you're such a huge Spider-Man fan.
Not only am I adjusting to these last few years like everyone else, but I'm also readjusting to the world while, being in a coma.
You're really gonna lord the whole coma thing over my head, huh?
Kinda hard not to.
Okay, fine. Next time, be here. The holidays are coming up. I'm gonna need you more.
Oh, good. Can't wait to be dressed up like something embarrassing while awake this year.
Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm Anthonix Maximus. Please like and subscribe, ring the bell, and be sure to stick around because I'm gonna squeeze out some more holiday movies as much as I can before the holidays are over.
Call Deborah.
The caterer.
Tell her not to open the caviar. Parker, why is half of your face a Spider-Man? Get me pictures of Spider-Man!